Welcome to the Susan Brender Show. It's all about you. Featuring shows on health and wellness, the performing arts, politics, and people who inspire you to be your very best. And now, here's Susan Brender.
I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. Today, my guest is Scott Joseph. Now, he's the inventor of a food called chimp food. Now, it's not what you think. So I'm going to explain. Well, he's going to explain, actually, what it's all about. But first I want to say something about chimp food. It's a very, very healthy food. It's very unusual. And it's the kind of thing that when you drink it, you're going to find that you love it. It's just a fabulous way to put yourself on a healthy diet. So today we're interviewing Scott, who, as I said, is the inventor and the person who can tell you all about chimp food. So welcome to the Susan Brender Show, Scott.
Hi, Susan. Thanks for having me.
You know, Scott, you say that if we mimic the healthy diet of our closest living relatives, chimpanzees, chimp food, who are almost 99% like us, but not yet, they don't get sick. They have no heart attacks, no strokes, no cancer. I mean, that sounds a little wild, a little ambitious. So talk to me about when you say no heart attacks, no strokes, no cancer, no diabetes. Come on, is that really true?
Sure, it's definitely true. It's not only true with chimpanzees, it goes as well with all animals in nature. They're the species such as birds, fish, insects, reptiles, amphibians, mammals, and reptiles. None of those species, which is about 1 million different species of animals, there are billions of animals, but in about 1 million different species, humans are the only ones to get diet-related diseases such as heart attacks, strokes, cancers, diabetes, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, even depression and anxiety, headaches, colds, flus, acne, arthritis, asthma, glaucoma, cataracts. I mean, there are literally hundreds of diseases that humans get that are killing us, and no animals on Earth get these diseases.
Now, obesity is a very big problem in our country, and actually it's starting all over the world because people are in different places like Japan and China and places of that nature where everybody used to be really thin and live a long life. But today they're mimicking, and I'm going to say that, they're mimicking what we do, which is have all these processed foods and places like McDonald's and Burger King and various other chains. So if they know about chimp food, why aren't they using it? And talk all about obesity, if you will.
Yeah, so that's really how my story started. Is I blew up to be about 265 pounds. I was huge. And through trying different diets, nothing was working for me. Like most people, diets just don't work. And I'm very strict and nothing worked. And what actually started this whole story is I looked out the window one day and saw about 100 birds up on the power lines. We've all seen it before, the electrical lines just loaded with birds. Mm-hmm. And I looked there and said, gosh, look at that. Not one of those birds is overweight. And then I started thinking, gosh, I've never seen an overweight bird in my life outside of human intervention. Of course, we see pigeons in the park that are huge, and we see ducks, in a park that are huge. But out in nature, I bet you and none of your listeners have ever seen an overweight bird, as well as an overweight fish, except for the koi that are in these little ponds that we throw food in there, and our goldfish at home. But in nature, there's no such thing as an overweight fish. It just has never happened. Think about lizards, butterflies. Think about squirrels, all the squirrels you've seen, all the lizards, and you've never seen one that's overweight. You've never seen an overweight turtle or an overweight rabbit or an overweight snake or a moose or a deer or an antelope or a lion or a tiger or a bear. Mm-hmm. you just never have seen overweight, obese animals. It just does not happen in nature. And I'm talking about billions of animals for millions of years, no obesity, no overweight, no illness, and no disease.
Now, you say that chimp food is a super convenient, just grab-and-go fast food. And you say it's actually the fastest food. And just a few gulps, you're full for hours. Now, how does that work?
Well, when I realized that I was overweight and animals weren't, I decided my first thing was, I'm going to eat some rabbit food. And then my buddy says, well, you're not a rabbit. And I says, maybe I'll eat like a bird. And he says, well, you're not a bird. So that's what led me to chimpanzees. So sure enough, chimpanzees are our closest living relative. We're 99% the same. Chimps are closer to humans than they are to orangutans and gorillas, the rest of our little family. As well as another pretty crazy fact is that chimps and humans are more alike than horses and zebras. Pretty amazing. So I studied what chimpanzees ate, and sure enough, we eat totally different than the way they eat and all other really animals eat on their natural diet. So I realized that our digestive system, and more importantly our immune system, are exactly like chimpanzees, even closer than 99%. So I studied what they ate, and sure enough, they eat mostly all fruit, a lot of leaves, which we would call salads, and they eat some nuts and some seeds. And that makes up their whole diet. They don't eat cows and chickens and pigs and fish, and they don't eat oysters and clams. They don't eat any eggs, and they certainly don't cook these things whatsoever. They don't milk cows, and they don't drink milk, and they don't have cheese and yogurt, and they certainly, no grains, no animals on earth eat grains like wheat and rice and corn and oats and barley and quinoa. So I started realizing what they do eat and what they didn't eat. There was a huge problem in our diet. So I took exactly what a chimpanzee ate and the right foods and the right proportions: 60% fruit, 25% veggies, 10% nuts, and 5% seeds. I took all that, portioned it perfectly, threw it into a blender, started drinking exactly what chimpanzees eat for food, and I lost 100 pounds basically overnight.
Wow.
My eyesight became brilliant. My hearing became vibrant. My thoughts, my passions, my energy just became off the charts of how I feel. In my mid-50s, I feel vibrant. I feel vivacious. I have the energy of an 18-year-old in all aspects of my life. So I call it chimp food. It's a funny name, but it's a very serious product in really showing of how we should be eating. And again, I said it earlier, most of our diseases are diet-related diseases.
Yeah. So this particular food, chimp food, you say it's liquid food in a bottle. Now, can you eat it for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner? I mean, don't you want to supplement it with quote-unquote real food?
Well, what do you call real food?
So, yeah.
Pasta? Is pasta real food? Is spaghetti? Is meatloaf?
No, I'm thinking about protein food. I'm thinking about chicken. I'm thinking about fish. I'm thinking about certain kinds of meat. That's, that I call quote-unquote real food.
You are a product of our society. Chimpanzees do not eat cows. They don't eat chickens. They don't eat pigs. They don't eat fish, no seafood, and no eggs. So you can certainly supplement with that, but that is why we get heart attacks. That's why we get strokes and cancers and diabetes and Alzheimer's, because we believe and we think we need to supplement our perfect diet of fruits and veggies with animals, and that's completely why we're sick and overweight.
Now, has research been done on this food? Do you have an example of the research that's been done so that people really believe what you're saying?
Yeah, there's lots of research. For example, there's a whole group of people called primatologists. And primatologists like Jane Goodall, they study chimpanzees. There's also anthropologists, and they study the history of humans. So between anthropologists and primatologists, we know exactly what chimpanzees eat. They don't eat a lot of foods. It's very simple what they do eat. And I'm sure you know Jane Goodall's been sitting out there in the woods of Africa for over 30 years, writing down every single thing that they eat, and many times collecting their poop and analyzing that. And at many times they are also doing health tests on these chimpanzees. So we know exactly what chimps eat. On the other hand, we know absolutely that humans and chimps, our digestive systems, immune systems, are virtually exactly alike. So has there been research on chimps? Yes. Humans? Yes. But has anyone put this exact theory to the test of what if humans ate only fruits and veggies and nuts and seeds? That exact has not been put to the test. It's actually a pretty new and groundbreaking concept that I believe I'm not the first one that's come up with it. I'm the only one who I know has come up with it. But, I mean, it only makes sense if animals are healthy, humans are not, and we're exactly like chimps and they get perfect results. It's kind of common sense. It's really just putting two and two together.
So there's no evidence-based information on this food, but did the FDA look at it, and are they convinced that it's the real stuff?
The FDA just makes sure it's safe for human consumption. So if we're only packaging fruits, veggies, nuts, and seeds, they're okay with that. Those are all foods that are already scientifically known to be healthy for humans.
So this, how long has chimp food been on the market?
We've been on the market for about a year and a half.
Okay, so you're probably, knowing you're probably trying to find something else that can be another type of thing for health, that is a healthy food. Are you researching something else now? And if you are, what is it? What are we in store for?
Yeah, no, I mean, all I can do is change the flavors a little bit. But let me give you an example. Cows, horses, bulls, donkeys, mules, zebras, they only eat grass. Lizards, let's say, only eat flies. Lions, tigers, only eat antelope. If you get what I'm saying here. Let's say whales only eat small fish. Medium fish eat tiny fish. There is not a lot to dig into on what foods should enter our mouths or enter our bodies. Most animals in nature only eat one or two types of foods. Chimpanzees actually have one of the largest diet varieties because fruits, veggies, nuts, and seeds than almost all other animals. So there's nowhere else I can go. I mean, this is exactly what chimps eat. This is exactly what we should consume. By supplementing or changing anything, you have now taken our natural diet and blown it out of whack, sort of say. You were saying, gosh, should we supplement it? Well, no. Now you just ruined nature that's working perfectly. Should I invent more foods? Well, no. I'm now ruining nature. Nature's got it perfect. It's working perfect for billions of animals. There's not more I can change. I can certainly add flavors to it and make a non-organic version. I can do a non-GMO version. I can add cacao. I could add vanilla bean. I could add, flavors like that. I could add cinnamon. But that's about it. But that's really just kind of changing flavors. But in general, it's still 60% fruit, 25% veggies, 10% nuts, and 5% seeds.
Interesting. So what about the fact that it's raw food? There's been a lot of controversy over raw food. Some people say that as you say, it's great. Other people say that raw food, sometimes you can get anemia or a disease like that because you're not getting enough protein. What do you have to say about that?
Well, anemia has nothing to do with protein. So here's a couple quickies. Number one, in the history of humans, no one has ever been sick from lack of protein. No one's ever died from lack of protein. There are no diseases on this earth. There are millions of diseases, but if you look up protein deficiency or lack of protein, there really is no disease on earth related to that. I think 5 people have died in the last 20 years. They call it lack of protein, but actually they weren't eating any food. It was actually they were malnourished. If you're eating food, you're getting all the protein. How can cows and horses get all the protein they need from grass? Right. Look at a bull. Look at a rhinoceros. They eat grass. Look at big horses. Elephants. They eat leaves. I could go on and on about these huge, muscular, awesome animals, and they eat leaves and grass. Yeah. We don't need that much protein.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that today all the farms are actually owned by very big corporations, and they spray all of their veggies and all their fruit. What about that? Is it a very negative thing when they spray with different chemicals?
It's certainly negative, and I don't want any of that into my body, and none of us should want that. But let me just make a quick statement. Today in America, there are thousands of hospitals in America, thousands of hospitals. And I bet every one of them is packed to the gills. Almost every hospital is packed. And I'm going to guarantee you one thing. Not one person is in a hospital today from eating a non-organic apple. It just doesn't happen. Is it good for us? No. But nobody is sick. What's a disease from eating a non-organic apple? We don't have any. Is anyone getting sick from it? No. We know, though, that people are getting sick who eat too much meat, too much dairy, like cheese and yogurt and milk. We know that people are getting diabetes from eating too many grains, too much wheat and bread and pasta, and too much sugar, and too much processed refined grains and sugars, and people aren't getting enough fruits and veggies. Mm-hmm. We know that's what our health problem is, but nobody is sick and can pinpoint it and say he got sick from eating a non-organic or something sprayed on an apple or an orange.
Yeah, but you're in favor of organic foods, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and what do you think is really truly the difference between what they call organic and what's non-organic?
Well, I mean, there's just a little bit of pesticides on one and hopefully not on the other. But that's not our health issue. That is not our problem. Our problem is too much meat, too many calories, cooking our foods. In fact, you asked me about raw before, and I didn't really finish that statement. Uh-huh. Our problem is too much protein, too many bad carbs, too many bad fats, trans fats, saturated fats, and we're not getting enough nutrients, not enough of good fats, good proteins, and good carbs. Our diet is completely flip-flopped. And if I can just go back to the raw really quick, sure. Not one animal on this earth cooks their foods. Remember, 1 billion animals, 100 for 100, are in perfect shape, and none of them cook their foods. Okay. For anyone to think that our stomachs, liver, kidneys, pancreas is designed for cooked broccoli or cooked steak, they're completely wrong. Our bodies, our enzymes, our acids, our microbiome, our guts are designed for raw fruits, veggies, nuts, and seeds. If you have to cook the food, I would just throw it in the garbage.
Interesting. Now, I'm thinking about the word brain games. Brain games. The brain is do we have more of an important organ in our body than a brain or a heart? So, if you sat down and you actually prepared or you thought about a particular brain game with your food, with Chimp foods, kind of set up the game for me.
I don't know if I quite understand I'm not familiar with brain games, so you'd have to set me up a little better with that. Okay,
so of course there are many games on the market. We remember something like Monopoly, various games like that. But when I talk about brain games, I'm talking about shall we say, foods that you can play a game. So if it lands on something like say broccoli, you mentioned broccoli, and you mentioned cooked broccoli not being good for you, and what would you say about broccoli then that's cooked? What would you say about carrots that are cooked? All the different vegetables from all the different organic places. Imagine it as a game. Can you do that? If you were to play it, what would you say in each thing that your thing lands on? So if I said if I was playing the game and I put this little thing on broccoli, I would say, well, broccoli is a wonderful food. It has vitamin C, it has vitamin D, that sort of thing. But it sounds like you wouldn't say that if you cook it.
No, I would never. No, my question would be is, do any animals cook their broccoli? No. Then that would be a negative. Carrots. Does any animal on your earth eat carrots? No. Do you know that rabbits don't even eat carrots? No animals on earth eat the orange part of a carrot. So part of your game might be foods underground. Think of the foods underground: potatoes, carrots, onions, beets, radishes, peanuts, ginger, garlic, curcumin, turmeric. All of those are starchy root vegetables. Humans are the only creatures on earth that eat foods underground. No animals on earth eat potatoes or even sweet potatoes or carrots. So if no animals on earth eat those, why the heck are we? And if a chimpanzee's never eaten them, why the heck are we? So I do not eat any foods underground. Again, we call them starchy root vegetables. We're not made to handle starches at all. And so those would be a negative. Part of your game might be beans or legumes or lentils. So no animals on earth eat beans, legumes, or lentils. Red beans, black beans, kidney beans, pinto beans, black-eyed peas, green beans, peas. What are those you get at a Japanese restaurant? They steam them up, put a little salt on. Edamame. No soybeans. No animals on earth eat any of that.
Wow.
And the one reason is they're impalatable in their natural form on earth. The only way that you will eat a bean, legume, or lentil is if you cook it. So if no animals eat them, why are we?
Yeah, so if you were in a classroom with young kids, and it's important to reach out to young kids because they can influence their parents a lot. Because, parents today are very busy. They leave kids alone in their homes, the latchkey kids. Now, imagine yourself walking into a room of maybe, third graders. What would you say to them? Because, kids love the taste, the smell of, as I said, McDonald's, the French fries, the hamburgers. Imagine yourself as a teacher, okay, a nutrition teacher. Give me a kind of process that you would go through in teaching these kids all about chimp food.
If it was my classroom in my school, I would bring them all out to a farm and show them how beautiful and wonderful a cow is, how much love cows have and how much fun cows are. Same with chickens and sheep and pigs. They're all beautiful, wonderful, loving animals. And fish, I'm a scuba diver, and fish are beautiful and inquisitive, and show kids, and then maybe take a knife out and act like you're going to stab that cow or that chicken or that fish and say, hey, would you want this done to you? And they don't want it done to them, and maybe we shouldn't be eating them or hurting animals, and a better way of living our life is not to hurt animals, and maybe show them how thousands of cows are all standing up in a row for 8 hours a day with machines hooked up to them, and the horrible things that we do to these cows in order to get the milk from them. If I could I would love to do that, because I think kids would never have meat or dairy again, and that would be the ultimate thing for human health. But if I was in a normal classroom, I would show them how beautiful fruit is and let them taste all the fruit and say, hey, this is what really food is. This is like eating candy. Eat all the fruit that you can. And I would try and introduce them to nuts and seeds, and, of course, salads and any kind of veggies that we could. You mentioned broccoli or cauliflower or squash or cucumbers. You may have to start them off with pickles, but hopefully we can get them onto something healthier that's not, soaked in sodium.
Yeah.
But I would start them with fruit. We are definitely frutivores. Chimpanzees, the majority of their diet is all fruit, and children generally love fruit. So if I could get them seeing fruit, cutting it up, tasting it, enjoying it, I think they would understand it.
Mm-hmm. Now, you talk about fiber. You say, regarding health, fiber is number one, and nothing else on earth has this much perfect fiber. That's your chimp food. What is exactly the definition of fiber?
Okay, fiber is easy. Let's take an apple. If I was to take an apple is basically three things. All food is almost three things. Number one, an apple is 80% water. Number two, an apple is about 1% nutrients. Vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, folate, on, iron, and all the other vitamins and minerals. Number three, the rest of it is fiber. Fiber is the mass. Fiber is what an apple is that we bite into. So again, 80% water, 1% nutrients, and 19% fiber. A leaf is the same way. Broccoli is the same way. Broccoli is about 80% water, 1% nutrients, 19% fiber. So we know we need lots of water. So by eating fruits and veggies, and they're about 80% water, you get lots of water.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously if all animals in nature are eating leaves and fruits and berries and nuts and seeds, a majority of all that is fiber. So we need lots and lots of fiber.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now let's talk how much fiber is in chicken or beef or fish.
That's a good
Zero.
Question.
Zero. How much fiber is in milk, dairy, cheese, yogurt, ice cream? Zero. How much fiber is really in pasta or bread or corn or those kind of things? Only about 2%. Those are called refined grains. Refining, they remove the fiber. Mm-hmm. It's hardly any fiber.
So what about brown rice or brown spaghetti or something of that nature? Is that have more
number
fiber?
One, no animals on earth eat rice, whether it's brown or white. No animals on earth eat spaghetti, so you're killing yourself with that. But again, and it's the wrong kind of fiber. There's good fats and bad fats,
mm-hmm.
good carbs and bad carbs, good protein and bad protein, good sugars, bad sugars. Same with fiber. You have good fiber and bad fiber. So you just gave me two great examples of bad fiber. Good fiber is from fruits, veggies, nuts, and seeds. Bad fiber might come from beans or brown rice or pasta. I think you said spaghetti.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about supplements? Do you need supplements with chimp food?
Have you ever seen a duck eat a vitamin?
No.
Have you ever seen a fish drink a protein shake? Have you ever seen a squirrel eat a multivitamin? No. You think our bodies are made for pills? Where do pills come from? A laboratory. They're chemical. They're a chemist, a scientist came up with these pills and these supplements, these protein powders, these drinks, Boost and Ensure. This is all just crap out of a laboratory. Our bodies are made for fruits and veggies. We thrive on fruits and veggies. We're not made for supplements or pills or any of that stuff. We're just not made for it.
Now,
as fast as you are eating those pills and those supplements, your body has no idea what it is. It's a foreign substance, and your body attacks it with inflammation and wants it out.
Yeah. Now, hospitals, it would seem to me that hospitals would benefit from this a great deal because, of course, there's a lot of sick people with all kinds of diseases and a lot of obesity. Now, are you making inroads with hospitals with this food?
Hospitals want me to go away. Hospitals are money-making machines. Hospitals are set up to make money. And hospitals, if everybody was healthy, they would make no money. How many turtle hospitals are on this earth? How many squirrel hospitals are on this earth? They make no money because they're all perfectly healthy. So if we were to give people fruits and veggies, probably everybody would be pristine health. And so hospitals would make no money. My next-door neighbor had cancer, and I went to visit him. And as he is getting his chemotherapy, I'm sitting there talking to him, and the chemo's dripping into his veins. They're feeding him cooked turkey with gravy, mashed potatoes, green beans, Jell-O, and a thing of milk. How can anyone get better on cancer, and you're feeding them turkey, cooked turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, cooked green beans, Jell-O, and milk?
Yeah, that's an indication of the whole issue of money. I agree with you. There's
if you're in the hospital getting chemo with cancer, they should be giving you a whole plate food of fruit, loaded with nutrients, raw, real, whole food. If you have cancer, you need to feed your body with fruits and veggies, raw, whole, real food, and let your body take care of the rest. His body was spending so much time fighting the turkey, the gravy, the mashed potatoes, the Jell-O, and the milk, it had no time to fight the cancer.
Wow. That says a lot for what our institutions are doing to people. I'm agreeing with you that life is about money. And so, okay, let's just say that if you had your wish, okay, I want you to have like the best wish you can have for yourself. What would you want to say, and what would you feel is important for you?
Well, we get so much nutrient and diet advice from the government. So I would love for the government to throw away our food pyramid and make a real food pyramid, if you want to call it that, which should go by a clock. From the time you wake up, when the sun comes up at 6 a.m., we should start eating fruit from 6 a.m. to 12 noon. So let's draw a clock. From 6 in the morning till 12 noon, eat nothing but fruit. From noon until 2, don't eat anything. Let that fruit digest, and please take a nap if you can. And then from 2 in the afternoon till the time the sun goes down, eat nothing but salads and salads and salads and salads. And from the time the sun goes down to the time the sun comes up, sleep. Hide. Get up in trees and hide and sleep. You don't eat. You don't do anything. And that would be the ultimate. If we could replace our food pyramid with that thought and mix in some nuts and seeds. And no water. You know that chimps don't eat water and animals hardly ever drink water? Get all the water you need from the fruits and veggies. So us sucking down water or tea or coffee, worse, of course, is Coca-Cola or Gatorade or Red Bull. We're not made to drink anything. No animals on earth are sitting around guzzling water. So I'd love to see, number one, is we change our thought on what we're supposed to eat. Once we've done, the government has done that, get that into our school systems ASAP. Next, I would force every doctor on this earth to take nutritional classes. And before you walk in, the first thing that you tell the doctor what your problem is. The second thing is you tell the doctor what you're eating. And then the doctor then can straighten out your diet according to billions of animals on this earth who have pristine health, which is our natural diet. So I think those are just some quick steps. Change the government, get it into school systems, and change doctors on the way that they get educated and the way they treat patients.
Well, that's lots of words of wisdom from Scott Joseph, who is the inventor of Chimp food, a food that is absolutely the type of food that people should be eating. Now, Scott, if people wanted to purchase Chimp food, where would they find it?
The best way, I'd love to direct everyone to Whole Foods. All the Whole Foods market throughout the state of Florida have it. Lots of other small retailers, but a little bit too many for me to mention. If they have any problem, they can certainly go to our website, which is chimpfood.com. And you can certainly find me on Facebook, which is Scott Joseph, all common spelling, and you'll see lots of Chimp food on there. And you can purchase it from our website, and if not, just contact us and we can direct you to a better place. But Whole Foods is definitely where I would love if everyone would grab it from there.
And that's all over the country?
Yes.
Well, my guest today has been Scott Joseph, founder and CEO of Chimp Food. His motto is eat like you should, eat like a chimp. And I want to thank you so very much, Scott Joseph, for being on the Susan Brender Show. Hopefully all our audience will be listening very closely to your wisdom and knowledge of food. Thank you again, Scott Joseph.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you for listening to the Susan Brender Show. To be a guest, email sebrender@yahoo.com.